May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and all week we are highlighting conversations and resources surrounding mental health and wellness. A 2024 Gallup survey shows 1 in 5 adults report feeling lonely daily. Studies show that loneliness has a widespread impact, with people of all ages feeling disconnected from relationships. Experts say it can lead to depression, anxiety, and even cognitive decline. Dr. Ashley Zucker is a psychiatrist with Kaiser Permanente, San Bernardino County. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You know, I think we're living in such an interesting time. We've always talked about older Americans having struggles with loneliness, but now we're talking also about younger people struggling, even though they're so connected. What's going on?
Yeah, I think it's really fascinating to see. We always worried about our older generations and what they were doing to stay connected, but yeah, we're seeing it increasingly in younger folks that, you know, this sense of loneliness, and so this sort of subjective feeling of not being connected, you know, despite the fact that they may be communicating with people, right, digitally or on technology, but it just doesn't bring the same sort of relationship or connectedness that it does when, you know, you're face to face with somebody.
So is it getting the kids offline and into group? Like, what should we be doing here?
I mean, I think it's a balance, right? You know, social media and using things that are resources on the internet to find those social connections or find those social groups can be really, really valuable. And so there is, you know, a component of that where you can use it to your advantage. But if that's your sole source of connection or relationships, then you're really missing out on a big piece of that, you know, really human interaction. You lose that tone, you lose the body language. And so I think it is about getting our folks off of devices and, you know, out
back
in
into
person.
Real life,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And sometimes that's a struggle for people. You know, I know even when you go through big life changes, I remember when I got divorced about 10 years ago, I felt so lonely, and I felt like people didn't know how to connect with me, you know, because it was different. I wasn't with my partner anymore. Can you talk about some of the life changes that every day that lead to loneliness?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really important because those aren't new things, right? So major life changes like divorce, like maybe loss of your job or maybe loss of a loved one, you know, those are all things that can contribute to our feeling of I'm the only one going through this, I'm all by myself. That's a great place where you can go online, maybe find a group of people who are going through something similar and see about, you know, doing a meetup or, you know, something where you can bring those people together in person. And so you can kind of use that connection or that similarity to build on those relationships.
That's a great idea. I'm now thinking as a stepmom, I sometimes feel lonely. Maybe I should get a stepmom group
There
together.
you go, yeah.
You just sparked an idea for me. Can you talk about the difference, though? I think people sometimes get confused. They kind of confuse loneliness with isolation.
Absolutely, yeah. So loneliness is really a subjective feeling, right? So it's this kind of disconnect between the connections you're looking for and the connections you actually have, or sort of the feedback you're getting from relationships. Whereas isolation is really more of an objective thing. So are you isolated? Are you alone? What's very interesting is you can be isolated and not feel lonely.
Really?
You can actually feel very connected. Maybe you're off on a walk by yourself, but you're thinking about your friends or your family, right? You can also be in a large group of folks and feel very lonely and, you know, kind of on your own too. So there can be different, you know.
Yeah, and we need to be talking about this stuff because it can lead to real health impacts, can it?
Absolutely, yeah. So I think the obvious ones are the mental health impacts, like depression and anxiety, you know, but there are also some physical impacts that it can have, especially long term. So things like heart disease, stroke. You mentioned earlier the cognitive decline. And so even though we're worrying about younger folks, we still have to worry about our future cognitive abilities. And so paying attention to those things and how it really impacts us as a whole is important.
Well, we've talked about younger people, we've talked about older people. There is kind of this middle generation. I think we're so busy and we're trying to take care of both of those parts of our life that you might think I'm not lonely, but at the end of the day, it can still come back to feeling lonely.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you're just so busy, you don't even have that moment to think about the loneliness, but then when things calm down, maybe at the end of the day, you know, you start to really feel that sense of loneliness. So it's important to not lose sight of those connections, even when you are really busy and caring for other people.
All right, you just gave me something else to do. I need to call my mom.
There you go.
Some other friends today.
Absolutely.
All right, Dr. Zucker, thank you so much for being with us. Really appreciate it. Tomorrow morning, we will be addressing the impact of loneliness specifically on the senior community. So look out at the resources available in LA County to help them stay connected. That's going to be tomorrow morning at 9:15. We hope you join us for that. And CBS LA Cares. We have posted mental health support and resources on our website. All you have to do is go to cbsla.com/mentalhealth.